Good morning. This is the Board of County Commissioners Board Work Session. It is Wednesday, November 8th, 2023. It is 10:02 a.m. This session is set to go until 11 a.m. This is a hybrid meeting. We're at 3000 Pacific Avenue Southeast, room 110 for public virtual attendance. You may follow along on the Thurston County YouTube channel. The topic on today's agenda is the Nisqually Tribal Permitting Briefing. And we'll go ahead and do introductions. I'm Carolina Mejia. I'm the chair of the board. Vice Chair.
Ty Menser, Vice Chair of the Board.
Gary Edwards, Commissioner.
Ryan Campbell, I'm the interim county manager.
And Rob Gilder, Assistant County Manager.
I'm Mike Elliott, the Electrical Project Manager and Inspector for the Nisqually Tribe.
I'm Wayne Lloyd. I'm the Building Department Director for the Nisqually Tribe.
And I'm Jennifer Elliott. I'm the Permit Manager for Nisqually Indian Tribe.
And I'm Brett Burris, I'm the Development Services Manager for CPET.
So thank you for joining us this morning, and I'll pass it over to you. And
All right, good morning. Thank you for having us today. Just wanted to give you a little bit of background. Like I said, I'm the Building Department Director for the Nisqually Tribe, and we were established in 2019. I was the first employee of the Building Department. Since that time, we have grown to currently at 27 staff in the Building Department. We have adopted international building codes. We have started our own permitting. And we have several project managers and trades people that we've started apprenticeships for carpentry, electrical, plumbing, and heavy equipment operating. And so at the reservation, we are now handling all of our own permitting and our inspections. We have a building inspector. And we just wanted to see what your appetite might be to allow the tribe to do their own permitting on tribally owned land within the jurisdiction of Thurston County. I feel that we're pretty sophisticated nowadays compared to, several years back when we had no building department there. And we've been bringing in like L&I for electrical inspections on our big projects at the reservation, which has really never been done
Is that where
before.
Mike comes in?
Yeah, I do now. They had L&I prior to that.
So yeah, we're doing L&I for all of our elevator and electrical inspections, even on the reservation land, which they would never set foot before unless we invited them, of course, but we have now invited them in, and that's been working really well. And then for, mechanical and other inspections, we've been handling that internally ourselves. And so we're just hoping to broaden that out to, the tribe is landlocked by JBLM. And so for kind of a checkerboard reservation, we've been buying up property that's close to the reservation, but not directly connected. So it's been a challenge. And then normally, as you know, we apply for trust and go in that process, and eventually then it becomes part of the reservation and we handle our permitting anyway. But we're just hoping to start this conversation today to see what you guys think about handling it on tribal owned land.
Prior to it becoming into trust.
Prior to trust, yeah.
What's trust take, 5 years or something?
It really just all depends on who's in DC and, all the other politics. And there's, right now, we're seeing non-gaming trust applications take about a year to year and a half. Much longer for the gaming piece, that's anywhere from 2 to 5 years typically.
go ahead.
I guess I'm kind of curious on, so you're asking to be able to do things on your own property that's kind of headed towards trust? Is that
Right.
Yeah.
the best way to put it?
That is the best way to say
And the couple hundred acres over there by Cabela's, that's in the city or is that in the county?
That is in the city of Lacey, and we've already applied for trust for that property.
But you're working with them to do this same thing you're asking us about? Is that?
No.
No?
No. This one, we are actually, because of we have a gaming section in that property that's about 70 acres.
Okay.
So we've submitted trust applications for both parcels, the 100 or 200 acres and it's 100 acres and the 70 acres, I think it is. 270, yeah, it's a total. So the gaming piece is 70. We've applied for both to go into trust, and we're following through with that process for that
In the
project.
meantime, you're gonna be building and it'll be through the Lacey Building Department, will you, or what? Or you're just not gonna do anything?
We're not gonna do
Until you
anything
get trust.
until we have trust status on that land.
Oh, so that might be a few years down the
Yeah.
road,
Yeah, but we're just talking about other pieces that are near the reservation that we, buy up.
Can you give us some examples?
Sure.
I don't know if I'm asking questions for myself or the other board members, if they're that interested, but.
Over
curious.
near Lake St. Clair, we bought approximately 60 acres that power lines, transmission lines run through the middle of the property, and we've established a horse ranch there. So we're doing therapy, and we have other big plans for that. We currently have 25 horses.
That's your posse business, right? The new posse you've got going?
The
Don't you have a new Indian posse? Tribal posse?
I guess you could call it.
I don't know, somebody referred to me one time, one of the members, so.
Yeah, I mean, we have ranch staff out there that constantly are going out to different events and trying to bring awareness to our program there. Eventually, it'll be an employee benefit to be able to go out there and just for stress relief and things, they could bill our insurance and employees could go out there and ride horses and.
So say that 60 acres or whatever you own, if you're gonna develop some kind of a center, a barns, a clubhouse, I don't know what you got in mind, but you're wondering how we would feel about you doing it instead of us
Yep.
doing it?
And that's a perfect example of that property right there that is almost touching the reservation. It's 60 acres. We do have plans to build a horse arena there and, barns, other types of buildings. And we would like that opportunity to be able to handle our own permitting for that property.
I don't know the legality of how this would take place. I mean, I'll be real honest with you, I'm an advocate for doing just what you're doing so we get things done. 'Cause
Right.
the county's notorious about taking forever to get anything done. Your horses might die before you get the barn up, so.
Yeah.
I know that's not very complimentary to our situation, but I'm a realist with our situation. So I'm not gonna worry about it. My seatmates maybe are more concerned, but there are those little issues of legalities. Can
Yeah.
you do that? Who's got the authority? If you do it, I mean, I would think we need to have our prosecutor sitting here at a meeting like this at some point.
Maybe an MOU might be appropriate
Yeah,
for this
I don't know
type
the
of
answers to any of
arrangement.
that, and I don't know where my seatmates are. And so we've never even broached, this is something brand new.
Can I ask a clarifying question? In terms of the properties that you're looking at, are they the properties that are held by tribal government
Mhm.
that are on the path to trust, or are they held by tribal members?
No, we're talking about the government-owned.
And owned
Yeah.
properties?
And just in another example, Pierce County, we have some land that's owned by the tribe out in Pierce County. And as soon as we apply for the trust, submit the application, they treat the land as if it is in trust.
So I've spent a number of years in Kitsap County with both the Suquamish and Port Gamble-Sklallam. Port Gamble-Sklallam was not a checkerboard, but Suquamish was. That happened to be layered into Lammerd, which is a local area of more intensive rural development. In that case, I don't believe there was an MOU. I think there was probably some review by legal. There wasn't an MOU in place, but there was deference that that the tribe had permitting jurisdiction.
So it's been done and there's a.
It's been
there's-
done
there's been
elsewhere, so I
something
think we
done
just
that
have
way.
to get
Okay,
it
I mean,
clear.
I'm going from personal experience, watching, especially when you talk about like 60 acres or something, up at Elbow Lake, there's a church camp. And they wanted to do have the facilities to do a lot of the things that you folks are talking about. And it only took them about 13 years to get to that point, you know? So any of the folks that you're planning to help through your therapy, they're gonna be long dead before the county gets a program through it for you. So that's kind of where I'm at.
If I can.
I know a lot of people don't like where I'm at, but that's where I'm at.
If I can, my boss is he's a little humble because he won't explain to you that over the last 3 years when he started the building department, the tribe, as he said, used to not have L&I come on. Willy-nilly contractors would come in and just do what they wanted to do and nobody bothered checking them. Since he started this program, not only do we have the folks in the department that he's talking about, we physically have a building inspector on staff. We have a permit manager who does our permitting, who bit her teeth right here at Thurston County. That's where she came from. And trust me, she holds us to the fire with Thurston County rules and regulations, period. And she's a stickler on it. I now come in as a electrical inspector for the smaller projects. L&I comes in for our big buildings on the reservation, which is in trust land. We've got a new facilities transportation building going up, so L&I comes in for that inspection. We have an outside contracting company that comes in for inspections there. So we're not doing what in the past used to be everyone thinking, well, the tribe's just doing what the tribe wants to be and wants to do. And part of that is, as an example, with the other property, we have what's called the tally farm. That's where we have our gardeners growing all the vegetables for our elders. One of the things going on out there is we have taken when we bought the property, the owners there used to have a pool house. So we want to gut the pool house and we want to turn that into a teaching kitchen for the elders to teach them how to can. So those are little things that we're hoping, if the commissioners would approve all of this, that our permit manager can give us the permits. Our building inspector goes out and he inspects to the IBC and to Thurston County rules and regulations, and I go out and inspect to labor and industry standards. And what labor and industry standards have done for us is I also oversee the electrical apprenticeship program, and we have an MOU with the state that L&I, even though we don't do what we do outside, the state follows apprenticeship training through the hours by permitting through state L&I. Well, we don't have to do that on the tribe. We permit our own. We train them out there. I do the inspections, and L&I has agreed that once their hours get in, through the training that I verify, we actually submit that to L&I, and our tribal members will actually be able to get state licenses and become actual electrical individuals in the state and work for any other company when we're done with them. So that's kind of where it all is. It's what he's done over the last 3 years. So it's, like I said, it's a whole new ball game. It's like having you guys, in essence, sitting in the office, or your staff, I'm sorry, not you guys, yourself, well, council members, but anyway, but your staff is actually sitting in the building department.
Questions, Commissioner Mensah? Go ahead.
So I'm on the building code council and, we have a mandate to get 70% more, electrical efficiency by 2030, I think. I'm new to it, so I'm still learning all the ins and outs, but so the code's rapidly changing. I mean, as I'm sure you know, we've been working on a set of changes. They got legally challenged, so we had to delay them, but we're gonna get there. And then we're gonna start a whole nother round of doing more stuff. And are you guys gonna be tracking that right along?
Yes.
You have just hit our bellwether, and go ahead.
Yeah, we're gonna piggyback everything that you guys do basically, but the Nisqually tribe has become kind of a leader now in solar. I don't know if you've been out there recently, but we are putting in solar on every new building, every new home we build. We've got battery backup systems on them so we can not have to always depend on Puget Sound Energy to keep our power on. We need to be self-sufficient at the tribe. We also are working on some hydrogen energy storage to complement the solar. So we've been getting visitors from other tribes all throughout the state that coming out to see what we're doing out there. We've got EV charging stations at every building now. We've got more planned. We're at the forefront of all this.
You can teach us something.
Yes, we're on a big
good.
carbon
I
reduction
think so.
plan right now, and we're further along than any other tribe in the state.
So the MOU that you're proposing, would sort of set out that you'd be tracking these
Exactly.
Absolutely.
changes as they happen.
Yes.
Okay. I have a couple questions, right? When we're talking about permitting, there's different aspects of it. There's community planning and economic development, but there's also public works that does all the stormwater, and then there's public health. And so which aspect of the permitting are you talking about taking over for tribal government?
Well, we also do have our own public works department there as well, and I think where it makes sense, we would continue to install our own utilities and handle our roads on those properties and whatnot. I guess it all kind of just depends on the project, if it makes sense or not, but the ones that are right adjacent to the actual reservation there, I think it makes sense for our own government to handle those projects and do our own permitting, do our own inspections. But
And then the public health, which is, you know, the environmental aspect, which is the septics, it's, you know, they do, if it's gonna be a kitchen for kenning, right, so like
right, so yeah, we work with IHS and there's funding that holds our feet to the fire that we have to follow and make sure that our septics are installed by certified installers and that they're designed correctly and we have inspections. So we're not doing anything different than what you would do here at the county level.
And our septic installer is a licensed septic installer within the state of Washington. So he does all the septics for us to hook up to our step system.
Yeah. Because of the funding, we have to follow those codes and
Thinking potentially where there might be a continued nexus, right, is when the tribe might be developing brand new, as opposed to reusing a parcel that's already been developed, there's already road access.
yeah.
There could be with public works, if it is a county maintained, you know, right of way, there might be still the need to get a road access permit to be able to cut in a new driveway. And
Correct.
so on and so forth, and understand the traffic impacts, but
Yes, I could see you.
understanding that,
Yeah.
yes, handoffs.
I guess this question is more for Brett, but not to put, because he doesn't have any of this information, but I would be curious to know, you know, like how many permits do we handle, right? Like, just as more of a background, just Brett later on when you have a chance maybe to get the board that information. And then, I guess this question is more for Rob, since he's gone through it on the process of something like this, right? Like what is it, right? Like, is there any liability is like what I would like to know, right? If we're doing an MOU and it's all set in stone, right? The county is basically kind of absolving themselves from any liability, and I just kind of want to know those. And I'm sure legal would answer some of these questions as well as we move through the process.
Right, and then every jurisdiction, right, has approaches things a little bit differently. So having that review by legal as to what the appropriate path or agreements, et cetera, would be for the county would be a good next step.
Can I ask Brett a question? So, setting aside the legal, listening to what you've heard, do you see any practical complications, wrinkles just to this type of approach? I mean, I can see the construction of a building or something, there's obviously set codes, but then we've got, like when we do stuff, there's the traffic analysis and the road improvements, and I mean, it's sort of like layer after layer of things that go in, depending on what it is, you know? And I'm just wondering, will we hit some kind of wall or problem, you know, if we were to enter an MOU like these folks are proposing?
I too have been in jurisdictions and working jurisdictions where there are agreements with the tribes associated, so this is not uncommon, as Assistant County Manager mentioned. The question that you're raising, Commissioner, are the details, and the details are gonna be in the MOU or whatever form of contract that would be. And that would be to discuss traffic impact, stormwater, whatever the case may be. So there is a mechanism, but those are the details that would need to get worked out through that process.
We had a proposal from the city of Lacey, basically, to do exactly what you're proposing for the letting Lacey permit in the UGA. And then staff came up with sort of a list of problems that would be difficult for us to manage. And then we kind of, well, can we just pick like a section of Martin Way maybe and just do like a pilot and see if we could work it out? And we still haven't really gotten there. So there is, I mean, it sounds great. Like I was in the initial conversation with the mayor and we were like, this is a great idea, let's do this, and we were excited at the high level. But then when staff started to work through your staff and our staff, Lacey staff and our staff started to work out details, we hit all these little wrinkles, whose law applies, if there's a lawsuit, where court do we go to? What's the appeal process? Does it go is it their staff applying our rules, because it's in the UGA, or is it, it just was all these things that you wouldn't think of at this type of high level conversation. So that's why I'm just throwing it out there. Can we already see, based on the prior experience we had with Lacey, can we already see that we'll hit a lot of wrinkles? Maybe that's just for future.
I think most of our projects that we're talking about are gonna be more rural projects that, we're not gonna be in the city. If it's in the city, then we're gonna go through the proper channels and do it right, but I'm talking mostly just right around the reservation itself that's more remote.
And it's more building projects than it is putting in new roads or
Yeah.
new stormwater or anything like that. It's like I said, it's like taking apart a pool house and turn it into a kitchen. And I do understand your concerns, but there's already a house out there, the septic system's there. We've looked at all the additions to it. So the excess, we'll say water and stuff from the kitchen, it's just a canning kitchen for the elders, would actually go into the existing septic system. And there's areas where we might want to build the arena. Well, we have our building inspectors, our electrical inspectors, so that's kind of what we're asking on tribal-owned land. Not so much, I think, with Wayne and the tribal council, everybody else, if it came down to stormwater runoff and new roads and stuff, there would be definitely a system to where we would come back and say, okay, county, this is what we want to do. Are you okay with this? But we're just not gonna go out and start doing things because you give us the MOU, other than permits for building structures or remodels or
We could
tear
maybe
downs.
define the scope of
yes.
what we're doing.
Yeah.
Like these type of smaller projects or whatever, these types of projects or these magnitude of projects.
Definitely, yeah.
Start
And-
there.
And part of the reason I'm asking this is, as an example, I'm gonna use the kitchen. We could go to county and get permits, with our property. It may take 6 months, maybe, to get a permit to do something like this, where we can turn it around in 24 hours or 2 hours with Jennifer. And then we could be out there actually getting constructed and getting everything ready to go, so.
And
That's kind of what
some
we're
of these projects are ARPA funded that we have to spend down by next year too, that if we had to go through the full permitting process, we probably won't be able to do some of these projects that are really important to the tribe, so. That's one of the reasons why we're here.
I think there's a little bit of jealousy that might take place here. And our folks are gonna, wait a minute, if we're in charge, we can delay this for a year, or we can be in charge, we can be the boss. I think you guys, I'd let you build the kitchen right now. Get with it and get it over with, you're using it for your benefit. I really think there's a turf protection issue. I think if this board was to say to our staff, do it, make this happen, it would get done. But if we dilly-dally along for a while, your ARP money will be gone. They'll pull it back or something. So I'm sick and tired of the bureaucracy holding up everything that has a potential of doing a lot of good things. So that's, just so you know, I'm frustrated about it. Everybody knows I'm frustrated about how we do business.
Thanks for that, we appreciate it. Steve.
So would the
You don't
board,
need to convince me anymore.
would the board like me to follow up with the prosecuting attorney's office to get clarity, review and
Yeah,
Yeah, I think that's what it's gonna take.
that's,
That's fine.
Let's get
And
her
I'm,
done.
and
Yeah.
I am in
Yeah.
agreement with what Commissioner Menser said in terms of maybe starting out with a pilot and a more defined scope.
Yeah.
Right? And then we can see how that works out and then maybe like expand further on into the future. So maybe a more defined scope, then maybe that's the difference between the Lacey and this one, right? If we define it a little bit more in terms
Yeah.
of like, it's building structures, it's, then maybe we can try to get over some of those wrinkles that we ran into.
I would like
Last
to
time.
use the Tally Farm kitchen that he just described and our horse ranch as the two first pilot programs. Those are both ARPA-funded projects that we need to move forward with, or we're gonna lose our
And
funding.
couldn't we find, like Rob's talking about, this is not a new thing, and Brett as well. I mean, why don't we get some contracts to look at from other, or memorandums, however it's gonna work out, and get those in place so we can show them to the prosecuting attorney's office that ultimately has to make a determination if the county ends up being exposed somehow, which nobody wants, but there'll be a lot of bureaucratic foot dragging going on. I can pretty much figure it out.
And I hope this comes out right, because I don't normally do that, as Gary knows. But anyway, we kind of waste sometimes when we apply for trust, go to the county and get a permit and wait 8 months and see if we get it and do all the things that the money wise and all of that? Or do we wait till trust comes through and then we just go do it anyway? Well, we don't want to do that. We want to be straight up here and ask for the understanding. And as Wayne said, we start the kitchen and the arena and stuff at our property there that we already own through the government. And we use that as a pilot, see how it works out. And I don't think at any time, any of us doing what we do would go to a point of construction that we were not sure of. And we would come right back to you with the roads and the stormwater, which I understand is a big deal here. Like I said, it may not come out right, but that's what it is.
Close enough.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point. It's like, it's gonna get there eventually. It's just a matter of timing.
Right.
And getting your project moving.
And find a happy medium with the
And landing where it's
county. and
gonna
us.
land
Yeah.
anyway. So I can see the logic.
I am. I'm gonna use that situation up on Elbow Lake. I think it might have taken 15 years. And I think it's a crime myself that people wanting to do good things for our society are held up all the way through. Anyway, enough for me on
Okay.
that.
Okay, well, thank you. It looks like Rob or staff is gonna look into maybe other memorandums from other counties and tribal governments and see how those, and we're gonna send them over to our prosecuting attorney and see what they say. If you also have a draft memorandum, if you'll send that over to our Robin or Rob, so our prosecuting attorney can kind of start looking at that and maybe start having conversations on a more defined scope and we
Okay.
can proceed from there. Okay,
Sounds good.
10:30, thank you
Thank
for
you.
coming, we're
Thank you.
adjourned.